Assalamu alaikum. It is such an honor to be here. Thank you so much, CAIR, San Francisco Bay Area. I am so honored. I'm so humbled. When I got the email from Zara that they wanted to give me this, I was actually on the BART coming from San Francisco back to Oakland after shutting down Alex Padilla's office, demanding an arms embargo right now. And I burst into tears. Speaking truth in the face of injustice. When my daughter was in middle school, she called me in the middle of the day and she said, "Mom, I got in trouble at school today." I said, "Okay, what did you do?" She was in her US history class and the lesson of the day was on US democracy. This is my daughter we're talking about. So she raised her hand. Excuse me. "Democracy in the United States is a lie." You can applaud that. She was 12. And the teacher tried to argue with her, but see, my kid is rooted in political education and study, and since she took her first breath to speak, she was taught to speak truth in the face of injustice, so she wouldn't back down. She gets kicked out of class. She let me know that the teacher was going to call me. "Oh, goody," I said. Let her call. And the first thing I said to that teacher is, "Where is the lie?" Democracy in America is a lie. If it wasn't, then when the majority of Americans said to what is in theory our government to stop sending bombs to Israel to be dropped on children's heads, when tens of thousands of us, millions of us poured into the streets to demand an arms embargo now, our elected officials would have listened. That's what happens in a democracy. But that is not what happened here. As my sister mentioned, I host a radio show called Law and Disorder, and on that show every Monday for the last 2 years, I've hosted a full hour called Palestine Post. Palestine Post was born out of my absolute, complete disgust with mainstream American media coverage of October 7th and Israel's immediate genocidal aftermath. It was born after watching Israel's communications minions skillfully manipulate the truth. It was born as I watched so-called liberals, so-called left-leaning mainstream media try to convince me that a genocide was justified. It was born as I watched Americans buy the lies. It was born because I was desperate to do something and telling the truth was the one thing I could do. Monday mornings are my refusal to silently be gaslit, regardless of the consequences. I do my show from my living room, and one morning, and it's an early show, and one morning I was getting ready to do the show, and I looked at my door and I thought, wow, Kat, we might have actually entered the time that they may actually kick your door in and drag you out of here. And I thought about it for a second, and I took a deep breath, and I said, as my kid often says to me, "It is what it is." And I got on the air. Who am I to cower when there have been more truth-telling journalists murdered in Gaza than in any other war conflict in the history of ever? And journalists keep showing up to tell the truth about genocide. Who am I to cower when Palestinian children look their oppressor in the eye and say truth, knowing that they are facing certain death? What I do is not special. It is my obligation, my mandate as a human being. As Assata taught me, it is my duty to fight for our freedom, our collective liberation. Black liberation and Palestinian liberation are inextricably tied together because none of us are free unless all of us are free. I know these are scary times to be truth tellers, but trust, it's scary if we do not. There are more of us than them. They cannot disappear us all. They cannot cage us all. They cannot kill us all. They're telling me I gotta wrap up, and I am in just 2 seconds. I'm an organizer. So before I go, I got 3 calls to action. 1, in Oakland, we are demanding an arms embargo now. Tell Oakland leaders to stop allowing parts for weapons to be shipped to Israel. 2, in San Francisco, tell the DA to drop all of the charges against the Golden Gate 26 and end all calls for restitution, and tell her now. And 3, I'm an actress and an advocate, and I do radio for a public radio station, but I got $100 on your million, so give what you can, please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love y'all.